Gruesome Magazine.
Hello once again and welcome to Gruesome Magazine. I'm your host, and here we review the very latest streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at very spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. So boy, tonight we are reviewing Cube. No, not the one from 1997, but a remake from Japan. Oh God, she said. All right, but we're very excited, so stick around. Let me introduce the crew, starting off with the one and only Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm great. I'm absolutely great.
I've heard that.
I am. No comment. No wisecrack. No non-sequitur.
Absolutely. Also joining this week is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing, Crystal?
Konnichiwa. See? There we go.
Very
And then
good.
I was going to say, who are you? Who are you people? Yeah, I know. Well, Jeff, Jesus Christ, you give me 5 fucking seconds.
I told it. I'm sorry.
I was like, okay, I wanted to get excited about the fact that I actually did something that was not embarrassing myself for what. No, I'm kidding, Jeff.
Jeff,
Jeff,
that thunder.
you made it better. Mr. Roboto. Domo.
That's it.
Domo.
All right.
I
Also
love
joining
Japan.
us, award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Just want to tell you that if you need me to create some kind of mathematical formula to get you out of a cube, we're dead.
Yeah.
Telling you
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Don't depend on me for any kind of
No, me
mathematical
neither.
equation or matrices or whatever's going on, because we will surely die.
I'm not even going to be
Same.
able to hold the.
Actually, so all
Stupid
4 of us would
button
be
on
in
it.
trouble, wouldn't we?
That'd be the worst escape room for us.
I would still be in that first room.
Well, I definitely couldn't do what the autistic guy did in the first one, but
Oh, for sure. With
figuring
those...
out prime numbers isn't that.
I still don't understand what a prime number is.
Ah! All right. Well,
And I'm a grown adult.
Yes, you did.
Oh my God.
Let it out.
So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to review Cube.
I hate you all. You're the best.
Our first impressions. Those first impressions will be spoiler free, and then we'll dive into discussions. We'll get into the spoilers. It's kind of hard not to with this film. And then we'll wrap things up with a score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. And we hope you that enjoy this review and many others that we have on the site. And if you do, please hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend buttons. They're easy and free to do. And each click will help us find more horror fans just like you. That'll be awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Totally.
Yes. All right. Let's take a look at the card and get things rolling. Boink. Cube. Somewhere between 2021 and 2023, but in 2023, it's playing on Screambox beginning April 11th. Synopsis: in this remake, without remembering how they got there, several strangers awaken in a prison of cubic cells, some of them booby-trapped, not the people, but the cells. The prisoners must use their combined skills if they are to escape. It's directed by I'll try this again. Yasuhiko Shimizu, written by Koji Tokuo. Based on the 1997 screenplay by Vincenzo Natali. The cast includes Masaki Okada, Takumi Sato, Masaki Suda, Hikuro Toshiro, and Watanabe, and Kotaro Yoshida.
Sure.
I think
that
I think
sounds
Nice.
I think I got a 72% on that.
Why does that poster look like Dance Dance Revolution for some reason?
it kind of does.
As you may have figured out, if you guys remember the original 1997 film Cube from Vincenzo Natali, who is a fantastic director, of course.
Yeah.
This is a Japanese remake, and we are excited to dig in. So let's do that right now. Let's give our first impressions. And Crystal, I am excited to hear what you think of this film.
So, I wasn't sure what to expect going in because, it's been a long time since I've seen the original. And this one, I'm not going to lie. So I enjoyed the movie. Let me just start off by saying I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good. I liked the characters and everything, but from the opening scene, I was cracking up. I don't know why. There's an opening scene where there's a vivisection of a cube. And I liked it, but the dude's face just killed me. And I was like, oh, God, this is really funny. it gets more serious as it goes along. I feel like that was a little lighthearted for some reason, or it felt lighthearted for me. I'm just saying. So we do meet our cast of Cubians or whatever, and they all have very distinct personalities. And what I did like about this one versus the original is that it feels like it has a lot more character development. So short of the basic story and kind of how it, the traps being set and things like that, the movie's pretty different. I enjoyed it. I liked I liked the look of the rooms. I liked the LEDs that they used. I don't want to give anything away too soon, but they had a few creative kills, nothing crazy. I mean, there were some close calls. I feel like it was a little bit easier to kind of understand how they found, the exterior or the outside of the cube rooms or whatever. I mean, but that's math again. So for me, it probably was still kind of similar. I didn't get it. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I think everyone was great. There were some shots I really, really liked. Especially like right at the beginning, how you're looking up and the way the rooms are set up. It's a simple plot. Ultimately, you have, 6 strangers that are in a cube trying to go through different rooms that are booby-trapped and trying to escape. Short of, yeah, that's pretty
Escape
much
room
the
on
whole
crack.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was good. I think I still might have preferred I think I prefer the original, but I really enjoyed this one too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Jeff Mohr, sir, what was your first impression of Cube?
I like this too. I thought it was a kind of a nice reworking. The basic premise of the story is the same, but we have some different traps, some different characters with different capabilities, and something quite a bit different than the first one. Even though I kept trying to compare the characters, like this guy is this counterpart,
yeah,
this person is that, but it doesn't. There's not a straight connection between them. And I really like the more character development because we get to see the background of one guy's motivations, what's causing some of his actions, without going into the detail. I don't know. I think I'm just bloody minded or something, but I sort of wanted more traps.
Yeah, gore. Mm-hmm.
More. But it works out well. And I think they take it's a little longer, and that's part of the character development, I think. Mm-hmm. And I thought the acting was really good. I thought that no downplay on the original, but I thought the acting for the most part was better in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Okay, good.
I like that. Christopher G. Mohr, sir, what was your first impression of Cube?
Well, this definitely has a higher budget, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Even though it is, a lot of the same rooms, but I don't know. I did like even though we don't get as many traps as what I'd liked, the same as Jeff mentioned. I think some of the traps were kind of interesting in how they played out, especially when it came to the character development type stuff, when it came to the people's background and the issues that they had. So it became, I think, I kind of wish some of the frustration had happened a little bit earlier, because we don't get a lot of that until like a little ways into it, and that's when it got a lot more interesting with certain characters. But yeah, I like the design of the cubes. I liked some of the, the few traps that we get, I think are kind of interesting. And I think they kind of took that whole opening trap from the first film and actually did a more fun version of it. But I kind of wish we'd had a little bit more of that in general. But yeah, I thought it got really interesting. I mean, it gets, to me, it was kind of obvious. If you really pay attention to character development, you kind of figure out, okay, why is this one character not developed? And it, you kind of figure that out. But For the most part, I thought the characters are good. I don't know. It did feel kind of overly dramatic at times, but I feel like that's just more of the translation, because I think when it comes to a lot of Asian cinema, there's a lot of that, a lot of overly dramatic type stuff.
Yep.
To where at times like just do something. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it had some really interesting things in it, and I think it's one of those few times where, even though it kind of replays some of the same type of scenarios from the first, I think it adds its own kind of flair and interesting ideas to it. So yeah, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed this quite a bit as well. I thought it was it really sucked me in, and it was because of the characters. I think the opening scene is a little more lighthearted, because if it was American, it would, and nowadays that would be insanely gory, and it was actually kind of reserved in the gore, especially considering what happened. And I got the same feeling, Crystal. You know, it's kind of like, I will say though, even though I really enjoyed this, the second act felt a little redundant. You know, going room to room to room to room, and which is part of the plot, but it took a while to kind of get to the character development part of it. You know, it was really slow at first, and then it got really heavy toward the end. But once it gets into closing into the final act, and some of the major character conflicts start to bubble to the surface, I thought it just nailed it. And emotionally, I thought it nailed it. I was really into a relationship between a couple of the characters that evolved during the story. And yeah, so in the end, I was like, damn, this is great. Do another one. This is good. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. So let's get into, okay, I just want to start off that there's a young character in this. And
oh yeah,
I thought this young actor, when it came time for him to deliver, earlier on, he's a little bit more reserved, and there's a reason why. It's part of the plot. But later on, he's really involved in the story, and I thought he did an extraordinary job. I was really impressed.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Well, especially with the subject matter. Although I was in the very beginning, I was like, oh crap, I hope this isn't some kind of like sexually abused kid, and the older guy's like
right?
some kind of pedophile. I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want this in my Cube movie, but I think the way it plays out, and especially when there's that kind of similar type issues involving the one guy and the loss of his brother, and then this young kid, I think once that stuff kind of plays out, it gets really interesting. Even though I will say that some of that stuff gets a little repetitive too, and they just keep hitting you over the head. Okay, we realize this kid was abused. All right. But yeah, I think the kid was probably one of the main standouts of the film. I think some other people were a little bit, maybe they just played it too well. Just I got annoyed. I got to the point where I got so annoyed with the characters. Like, somebody kill these people, please. Where's the trap when you need one?
Our lead guy is really good too. I really got into him. I was like,
well, I'll tell you, I didn't like the crazy dude until he went crazy, though.
Well, that's when it got more interesting for me.
Yeah,
he's got annoying guy. Yeah.
As soon as he lit up that smile, when they,
I was like, oh, there he is. That's what I was looking for, because he felt kind of, you know,
a little like
bland.
a wet noodle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was the point. I mean, that was his arc. He wasn't that wet. He literally was a wet noodle in his life, and he was tired of it. I mean, I thought he flipped out. He just lost his shit.
Although I will say, you think it'd be obvious after that, when people get really emotional, when the lights would change in the cube, you think they would figure it out and say something about that, but they never really addressed that.
And I liked our guy who seemed to like know what to do. I think his name was Ide, right? Or Hiroshi Ide. And of course he added a little conflict at the beginning, because he was kind of, bossy is not the right word, but when some people didn't live up to it, he get in their face about it. But there's a really tense scene with him, the kid, and our lead in a room with these red, white lasers that I thought was maybe one of the highlights of the film.
I agree.
Well, I think that kind of, although it felt very video gamey, it felt like a stage in a video game. But I thought that kind of element made the traps weren't as simple. That especially that one room weren't as simple as just like, oh, spikes, lasers, fans, or whatever. And in that one, because you had to save someone else in order to get past the lasers, I thought like that's actually a really, and then because it plays also into the saving aspect that that plays into the whole PTSD of the one character.
Mm-hmm.
The kid.
That's very interesting.
I think they all have PTSD. I think that was the point.
They were all damaged. Yeah.
But and again, that kind of also plays into how some of the traps come about. Whether it comes to abuse or whatever.
In that scene you're talking about, Doc, the kid accidentally falls in, and then the guy who's frozen a lot of times jumps in to save him, but then Heidi jumps in and saves
both
of them.
Goto.
Because they were basically saving themselves a couple times, and then what was really impressive is that one time he didn't know what to do, and he just covered the kid.
Yeah.
Like you would see, like somebody doing a heroic adventure movie or something, and that's when our other guy jumps in. And that really impressed me. I really liked how that was staged. I liked how the character development worked. I liked how the last guy, entered the scene. It all made sense. It was all well choreographed.
Although in reality, if he did that, they both would have died.
Yeah, totally.
So he wouldn't really save the kid.
Well, I didn't know what was it? So.
But we didn't know if it actually went through, but it probably would. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a human. We're pretty soft.
Yeah. But it was a good try. It was a good try. I mean, what else can you do? You got to do what you can.
I think it's it's hard to talk about this movie because really there's not all that much to talk about because it's relatively simplistic. But I think it was good, and I think they did a great job. Could it have been better? Yes. I think it could have been better. I would have liked a little bit more gore too with Jeff, and it could have been more blood. But I did like the twist at the end a lot. I actually was like, oh, that's cute. I enjoyed that probably more than I should have.
Well, all of them. There's a couple of twists, right?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
And I liked them both, although I don't,
Yeah, I mean, but we do have to realize the original didn't have a lot to it either. It's definitely more of a theatrical, almost like a character piece than it is about this. We do have the sci-fi element, but it is more about the characters than it is about. And that, I mean, the original reason that they could make it for such a slow amount of money is because it was just repurposed in the same room over and over. So
yeah, there's not a tie it up in a bow ending,
No.
So.
Yep.
Although I thought she was going to go back and save that one character for a little bit there. But
I do like how it circled back
Me
around. Appreciated that.
But
I knew that was happening, but that was
it was
going to happen again.
It's good script writing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, good for a sequel too.
Well, it also ties up her entrance at the beginning as well.
Yes, exactly the same as the way.
Yeah, looped right back to it.
I did like that technique. From a directing point of view, every character gets this straight on shot, looking at even the one that gets vivisected at the beginning. God, you mentioned that, right? Did I say that word right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I just liked how they framed their faces when they would introduce the characters. I just really because again that comes back.
The shots were nice.
Yeah,
like the shot where he was like looking up at the other guy, and how the background, like he's like over him, looking at him. I don't want to give it away because clearly we know no one's names. I don't know anyone's name, so sorry. But that shot it made me feel like a little queasy or something, because of the way the rooms are themselves. They did a great job on the design. I enjoyed it.
Although there's one point where I was like, use the force, go to, because it's almost like a use the force scene.
Yeah. Well, they did change the handles. The handles in the first one play a significant part. That they turn to open the doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the ones in here were not, couldn't be used that way.
Yeah. Props to that one guy for climbing up on the ceiling and kicking it with his feet and opening it up and climbing through. I'd fall on my ass. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of those people probably wouldn't have the dexterity and logically in reality. But
Yeah, I'd never be able to get to the top one. The sides, maybe.
like American Ninja.
Gladiator, yeah. American Ninja Gladiator. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our final score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. There's a lot to choose from. We'll start in the same order. Crystal, you're up first.
Okay. So, like I said, I liked it, and I mean, if you've got Screambox, I'd say definitely check it out for sure. It's absolutely worth a watch. I'm gonna give it a 3.75. How about that? Yeah, that's about
Perfect.
right. And obviously, my favorite death is bashing his head in. It was funny.
Which is like the only not trapped for death, right? So.
Yeah.
he's like, oh, if that's not going to do it, then I'll take care of it. So, yep, that is all. Yep.
I didn't mind. It was like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, me too. I was actually glad that guy was gone. I was like, he's such a jerk.
It was so funny.
Jerk.
Like, yay! But then, comes back around. Jeff, what's your score 1 to 5 and your favorite scene?
I actually had 3.75 written down too.
Nice.
Good. Yeah.
The favorite scene? I'm going to call it the guy who plays the Frady Cat the whole
The wet noodle? Yes.
The whole movie. And then goes ballistic. And then when he does that monologue about if I'm going to die, then why not kill?
Mm-hmm. And the whole thing about there's nothing.
I'm ready to die, so if I'm going to die, what the hell, And I, for some reason, I liked that whole monologue that he gave. I thought he was suitably psychotic in that.
It was also kind of tragic and sad too, because he was bullied and he didn't have anything. He didn't have anything actually to escape to. It was like,
right?
Why escape? I'm just going to go back to a life I don't like. So that was kind of tragic and sad. So, which is, what do you call that? Goes for character depth, right? All right, Christopher Mohr. He doesn't want to help me out at all. Greg, give us your score and your favorite thing.
I'll go to 3.75 as well. That I actually thought of that before we got on here. I'll say my favorite scene. I do like the trap of having to push the other person out of the way. I don't know, that's such an interesting concept, and because it plays into one of the whole main things involving the story, I just thought that was a really interesting way to create a trap that wasn't just as simple as there's blades coming down from the ceiling, but so you got the little Star Wars laser blast coming down at you. So so I'll say that specific scene.
I like that. I'm going to give it a 3.75 too. So we all like this movie the same way. So I appreciate that quite a bit. May not be as conflicting, but at the same time, I think it's a solid film. Another solid entry for Screambox, a growing channel that you should consider. Yeah. I will say my favorite. Okay, my favorite scene is kind of. I don't know why I enjoyed it, but when the fans came down, I
liked that one too.
I enjoyed how it was shot. I enjoyed how one character froze, and when he looked up, there's one shot that really impressed me that really makes it one of my favorite scenes, because the fans are going zip, 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 but they slow down and just almost pause just for like a second, just so you can see all the different blades and everything, and then they go back to spinning again. And I just really liked how that scene was constructed and how the one guy pulled him out and then got up in his face and said, "You about kill us all," and shit like that. So I like that, even though it's not one of the gory scenes or one of the poignant scenes.
I called it the fizzy lifting room.
Yes, if the fizzy lifting room came down.
So and then maybe they should remake Willy Wonka with rooms like that.
Mhm.
If it wasn't that, I would say it's when the boy was saying, why didn't you do it? I know why. And it, just kept asking, you can't tell me why. You can't tell me why. There was so much emotion and heart to that. That was a really impressive scene. All right, so that is our review for Cube, the 2021/2023 version, depending on if you want to think about when it was released where. Check it out and let us know what you think of it in the comments down below. I would, who I want to hear what they think of it? I want to hear what Vincenzo Natali thinks of it.
Oh,
wouldn't that be wouldn't it be great to hear what he thinks of the remake of his own
He'd
film?
probably like it. I bet he
Didn't
would.
I read that he was like executive producer
he was
and
yeah.
provided guidance and stuff?
Yeah,
Oh,
I did.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'd love to
Yeah.
hear what he thinks of the differences and how it was made. That'd be fascinating.
He probably likes the check.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I think he likes more than the check, but yes, he does. He's a very talented. I mean, he's a very talented director. I love his films and his work on TV too. All right, there you go. That's it. Jeff, Crystal, Christopher, thank you for joining me. As always, a lot of fun.
Thank you.
It was.
Always is.
All right, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.